What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining me today on my channel at +5. And you're probably wondering why I entitled this video the Unicorn 6.8 SPC2 round. Well, at the height of the 6.8 SPC cartridge, I'm not going to get into the history of it, but it's another caliber as an option that can be used in a small frame AR-15. You pretty much have the 300 Blackout, you have the 224 Valkyrie, which actually uses a 6.8 SPC bolt and magazine. Obviously you'd need the barrel. You also have the 6.5 Grendel, which again would need the bolt, magazines for it, and a barrel. And there are other Wildcats that exist out there, but these are the main ones that are used as far as for caliber conversion on what they call a small frame AR-15. Now, the reason I call this the Unicorn round is because if we take a step back, the 6.5 Grendel, which is known as pretty much the main long range round or caliber for the AR-15, pretty much took a big leap as far as long range goes, mainly because of the bullets that are available for that cartridge. The 6.8 being a .277 caliber cartridge, basically a shortened 270 Winchester, doesn't have the same high BC bullets that are available to the 6.5 Grendel. At some point, basically at the height of the 6.8 SPC popularity, a company called Silver State Armory came out with the 140 VLD Berger hybrid ammunition. And what it did is it changed the game for guys like myself that actually like the 6.8 SPC. To put it into perspective, I'll put up some a graph that I came across and some information, but pretty much it was the only cartridge that was available that could give the 6.8 SPC a run for its money against the 6.5 Grendel. And the thing that made it an unpopular round when it came to that 140 grain VLD by Berger is basically because it required a 110 twist barrel, which at the time a lot of the 6.8 SPC rifles were basically made with a 111 twist. And it also required you to have the Spec 2 chamber. The Grendel and the 6.8 SPC both originally had a different SAMI Spec chamber. They were both also upgraded down the line to a Spec 2 chamber, which allowed, basically it had a longer free bore, I believe, which allowed for higher pressures to be used. Basically a little bit more powder charge could be used in the chamber. And because of that, things as far as velocity and energy put on target would also change in correlation. Now, I'll show you guys a graph that I came across where it shows the 140 VLD against a 129 grain AccuBond shot out of a Grendel. And basically they're pretty much the same up until about 500 yards. I want to mention that the trajectories are within 5 inches all the way out to 1,000 yards, but also note that the 6.5 Grendel with the 129 AccuBond still gets less wind drift regardless due to its better sectional density of the bullets being used. Also, at 750 yards and on, the Grendel has a lot more wind drift. At 750 yards, it shows it having about 19 inches of less wind drift, and that's using a full 10 mile per hour wind. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that the 140 VLD in a 6.8 SPC is going to be an exact match or beat the 6.5 Grendel, because it probably will not. But within 400 yards and down, it's very hard to find a 6.5 Grendel round that's going to put out Let's just go with these numbers that I pulled up. And mind you, this is all factory loaded ammunition. I do not reload. I have friends that do, or I should say did. Some of them have moved away since. But just speaking out of the muzzle, and this is all using, this is using 16-inch barrel for the 6.8 SPC, and using 18-inch barrels on the 6.5 Grendel. We'll compare the 6.8 140 VLD from Silver State Armory against the 123 grain Hornady SST and against the 6.5 Grendel 130 grain Federal Gold Medal match. At the muzzle, this cartridge puts out, which we chronoed my rifle actually, shooting those rounds out of it, and we were getting 2450 roughly as the average for the feet per second that was coming out of the barrel. It showed it coming out at, as far as what they have it stated through Silver State Armory, that's at 1910 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. The 123 grain 6.5 Grendel Hornady SST is coming out of the barrel at 2580 feet per second, and it's delivering 1818. So 1,818 foot-pounds energy. And the 6.5 Grendel 130 grain Federal Gold Medal match is coming out at 2440 feet per second, and it's showing it having a 1,662 foot-pounds of energy. So already you can see right there that the energy is a lot higher coming out out of the muzzle. Again, it's not necessarily going to mean that it beats it at long range, because that's going to be dictated not just by the velocity, but basically the bullet's design and its ballistic coefficient. So how good it flies through the wind and bucks the wind, if you will. So anyways, getting back to what we're talking about and why I call this the unicorn round is because as the 6.5 Grendel came out, as far as we're talking about ammunition manufacturers, we're not talking about people who hand load, because obviously guys that hand load or reload are going to be able to make a hotter load, meaning they're going to be able to manipulate muzzle velocity and seating the bullets how they want so that they can get the type of accuracy that they desire. So this is basically out of factory loaded ammunition. Now, the 6.5 Grendel, being developed by Alexander Arms, was primarily designed as a long-range round that could be fit into a short mag. And while we have my rifle up here, we're going to check and make sure that it is clear, because it's always fun to do that. And you can see these are CP mags. It looks pretty empty to me. So the 6.5 Grendel was designed from the get-go as a long-range round. Basically, a 6.5 millimeter round that is designed to fit in the overall length of in a small frame AR-15 magazine, which is the same thing they did with the 6.8 SPC. The thing is that the 6.8 SPC was never really designed to be a long-range round. It was designed to be a pretty much devastating round, very similar to a .308 Winchester at 500 yards or shorter. So when what I like to call the unicorn round came out, the 140 VLD, before that, the closest thing you could get is the Hornady SST in 120 grain, still made by them, from the Hornady custom line of ammunition. And the G1, and we're just going to use the G1 BC, the ballistic coefficient, basically because we can compare the G1s of all these bullets. But a 120 grain SST in a 6.8 SPC has a .229 BC. Now, when you put that against the typical 6.5 Grendel bullets, being 6.5 millimeter bullets, they pretty much have a very high BC. They start at about 481, and they can go higher than that. When this came out, it had a G1 of .487, which is basically the highest BC that could be found for a 6.8 SPC round. So the problem wasn't that it became a unicorn from the get-go. It seemed like a really good idea, but because of ammunition manufacturers, like I said, with the 6.5 Grendel, it was primarily designed for long-range shooting. Hence, factories that make ammunition were making rounds primarily for long-range shooting, though they still make them for hunting and target shooting. The 6.8 SPC, you'll find the primary ammunition made for this caliber are for hunting. And because of that, they're made for expansion more than they're made for aerodynamic efficiency and for long-range shooting. This was the first round that came to market that was actually what I call the equalizer. So after buying about 20 of those boxes and playing with them, I bought another 20 more, and about 2 weeks later, and mind you, this is about 5.5 years ago, they were discontinued, and I really couldn't believe it. So I started reaching out to some people I knew that did reloading, and this also took place before California, which is where I'm at, had their ammunition background checks going on. We could just ship ammunition to and from each other just how anybody can in most of the 50 states. I ended up meeting a gentleman named Will from Iron Will Reloading in Texas, and he ended up giving me a set of custom loads here, and we're going to go through them right now. Let me just see so I can read. These are copies of this one, and these are 140 VLDs. And the reason there's 2 rows, they actually have 2 different colored primers, is because these, the left side of you guys, my right, these are loaded with AA 2200 powder, and this side is loaded with Exterminator. They're both types of reloading cartridge powders to launch the bullets. And this right here is a 130 grain Nosler boat tail. This right here is a 130 grain Hornady interlock, and this is a 130 grain partition. So you can see there's a row missing. I actually got to shoot all of these, and they actually all worked really well on my rifle. And the thing is like I said about this 140 grain unicorn round, is that you need one to have a 110 twist barrel, which I ended up having to get. I was actually getting some not expected, some not respected results out of this 20-inch 111 twist. How's it right here? 111 twist. And this is with the Spec 2 chamber, but it's a 111 twist. And I noticed it about 400 or 500 yards. Some of the bullets seem to be almost keyholing. I'm assuming that's because they couldn't stabilize correctly. So once I got this barrel, this is a Franklin Armory 16-inch and a 110 twist with a Spec 2 chamber. I had a lot better results. No keyholing, and really everything worked out great. The biggest problem that I came across was really just making sure I didn't run out of the other boxes I had of these, because I don't reload, and then finding someone who did it for me. It was hard to get now, because once I'd order them, and mind you, this gentleman expected me to order a minimum of 500 rounds at a time, and he was charging me $600 for 500 rounds. So that's not that cheap. But let's go over the rig real quick. This was something I had actually put together years ago, about 5 years ago. And we'll start at this end and we'll get to this end. So this is actually a copy of a Surefire muzzle brake that a friend of mine, while going to machinist school in college, needed to duplicate something or make something from certain specs and pictures, and I sent them some pictures of one of those and what I needed, and he made it for me. It's at a 416 stainless. It works great. It's been Cerakoted. I don't think this actually will work for a suppressor, for a Surefire suppressor, and I've never tried. I'm in California. We're not even allowed to purchase them here. You gotta love it. Has a SLR Low Pro gas block, and this is a Hera Arms 15-inch free float handguard. Sits with a Harris I think it's an SBM. It's the short Harris bipod. As you can see, it has Magpul furniture all over front foregrip, MOE grip, Magpul UBR2 stock with a rifle length buffer system. Inside you can see that I have this is a Les Bauer oversized bolt carrier with a PRI 6.8 SPC bolt sitting in there. The upper is a Vieltor Mur upper, which is a modular upper receiver assembly. Has a PRI gas buster charging handle. I use a Geissele Super Dynamic 3-gun trigger on this bad boy. And this is a Ergo silicone hand grip. It actually works really well, to tell you the truth, if you grab the rifle in this fashion. On top of the rifle, I have a Leupold VXR Patrol in a 3x9, and that runs a TMR reticle with the fire dot in the middle, sitting in ad mount rings. And I really love this rifle. If I had to go take a hog, I would actually go with this rifle. Basically because the amount of energy coming out, it's pretty devastating, considering the fact that it's such a small rifle. The recoil in it is very manageable. It feels a little bit harder than a 5.56 in my fashion. It could be the brake that helps it, but at the end of the day, it really has almost no recoil, if you ask me. And it shoots really well. But anyways, getting back to these 140 grain unicorn rounds, these days I pretty much have to find somebody to make them for me or show me how to make them. But it's something that's very interesting. You know, most guys that go looking up 6.8 SPC typically find, you know, anything from 95 grain Barnes rounds to, you know, the 110, 115 grain, and then the biggest at the moment being the 120 SST from Hornady. I know that if I knew how to hand load, I'd be able to experiment with other bullets, but at this time I do not. So because I'm stuck with factory ammunition, this is basically as experimental as I could get these days. So one day, hopefully I'll be making a video soon where we take this rifle out there into the desert and pop some watermelons or something with it and see what it does. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on my 6.8 SPC2 rifle and the unicorn round that I use in it. Either way, please like, subscribe, and share, and thank you guys for watching.